houses will be prosecuted. The duck girl has to be prepared for those, because then landowners were actually taking more and more public land, and if you went over a certain part, you could have been said you're trespassing. A child could have been off to Australia before you know it. So I was given this really fancy pants journal, and I obliterated every single page with all sorts of stuff, including these little people. What can you do? What can you do? Make dolls and put clothes on them. I'm still making them to this day. Shepherd, in lots of ways, is my dad. He would have to take care of the boats that he's in charge when the winds came, making sure that they were moored correctly to cope with the high tide or the low tide. His boats were his sheep. Well, my dad had to be resourceful. He wore a long coat. Apparently it was quite useful for putting the hair up, as in hair with long ears, like a rabbit. Even though he could be hung for poaching, he had 10 children at home, you know, and I would imagine that a lot of the time my dad was putting himself under doing things that perhaps he ought not to be doing. It's almost like the dolls are talking. The dolls are telling me that they want to be in this way and want to be that way. Yes, it's a warm. I have a warm relationship with the dolls and the work that I do, because it takes me back to when I was with my mother, and I ached for her to hold my hand, give me a cuddle. From 18 months old, I had a baby sister, and then after that, it was more baby sisters. And the baby brother at the end, and each time I was rejected each time, and I ached for that mother to give me a hug and say, oh, you're doing really well. But I was having to go out, do the shopping, care for her, because she was going through all sorts of hideous things, and a husband who I'm not a people pleaser. I wanted to please my mum. I wanted to have that hug. I wanted to have the hand holding when I was crossing the road. But instead of that, hold your sister's hand, we're going to cross the road. It was, or, you know, when you finish that, do this. And when you, so there's never any time for me, right from 18 months old. And that's when I first lost my hair, by the way, when I was 18 months old, when my first sister came along. My mother died. I knew that I was never ever going to please her now. So I had to sort of think, right, I'm going to do something about this and please myself. Yeah, so it was this sort of wanting to be cared for. That little 6-year-old girl, she's always there, pushing out buttons. She doesn't rest. Oh, that's better. That's the one I want. That's it. Families all around the camera. It wasn't like that. And I like to think I've moved on from it. I think I have, but sometimes I can get a bit melancholy and a bit angry. So maybe I better write some music. I went back to that 6-year-old child and I was very anxious about situations, but gradually I had to comfort her, I think was the word, and say it's going to be okay, we're going to be okay. And it did take time, but once I'd gone through it, I grew up, I think. Yeah. My dad used to say, I don't do anything by halves. I don't. Yeah. Yeah, so that's it really. Any more questions? film run out yet. Perfect, thank you so much. Yeah, write down your piece of